Hey everybody, this is Sarah Whitaker.
And Salty Dulty. And we also have a special guest in the studio this week. He is, well, let's go ahead and have you introduce yourself.
My name is Branden Juarez-Ferris, otherwise known in the independent wrestling scene as the world's greatest pop icon, Donnie Pepper Cricket.
And here we're going to talk about episode 19, Schools and Education in Professional Wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And you can find us on your favorite podcast platform, and you can find us at YouTube at Working the World 0240. Alrighty, let's get started with the jargon of the day.
Yep, so jargon of the day.
Is green.
We all been there.
We've all been there, and especially with the whole thing about schooling and whatnot in order to fix it, it's like the education that you need in order to get out of being green is the most important thing that you could do as a professional wrestler.
It's a process. Everybody kind of gets out of being green at certain points, depending on their experience level and how quickly they catch on to the business, and also how they're taught and just how they learn just in general, even things outside wrestling. So, because I know that I was a slow learner, still am. So, and yet he's kind of getting that reaction because he actually did help train me a little bit about 12 years ago, something like that.
Give or take, yeah.
Yeah.
That's about right.
And you've come a long way because you are one of the head trainers at Bulletproof Academy.
I am.
And
one of the head trainers there.
And how long have you been in the wrestling industry?
This fall will be 25 years.
25 years. That's a long time for any athlete.
Indeed.
But especially with seeing how you've been in the industry for such a long time, especially since you started out, how does professional wrestling training back when you first started compared to what it is today?
I think it's still very much similar. There's still quite a few, what's the word I'm looking for? Training topics, I guess you could say, that are very similar to when I started. Basically, making sure that you have your rolls down, your bumps down, knowing heat, strikes, all that stuff. It's all pretty self-explanatory. Like as you go into it, the only difference nowadays is just getting more of the athletic maneuvers. A lot of the people want to learn more athletic maneuvers than the just basic body slam or suplex.
Yeah, because how much the bar's been raised over the generations, like next generation, next generation, next generation, just raising the bar higher, 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 higher.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, did you start at OWA or?
I did start in the OWA, the Omaha Wrestling Association here in Omaha, Nebraska. From there, I had to take a little hiatus because of financial reasons, but I did end up hooking back up with a couple of the other, we'll call them graduates of the OWA, because they were performing shows, they were doing shows and whatnot, whether it be here in the Nebraska area or when they were going out to Kansas and Iowa and so on and so forth. Sex Bomb, Marty Trotter, Sean Pendragon, Shane Lies, Preston Maxwell, Ricky Reynolds. Those were the trying to think. Yeah, that's it. There's a couple other ones in there that kind of took me under their wing and kind of helped further me along, with my training from where I was after everything was all said and done.
Awesome sauce. So, I mean, how do you see the history of training? Because back in the old days, people would break other people in order to make sure that they didn't get into the industry because they wanted to make sure that they were sure that they wanted to do it. I mean, what kind of history do you understand from the beginning of training in professional wrestling, especially with the strength of kayfabe?
Um, as far as like quote unquote breaking people, I mean it's still kind of there, but not as intentional. Like we run through cardio, we run through endurance, a lot of things that obviously take a more fit and or more athletic um like responsibility. And there are some people who, after a week or two of it, they're like, yeah, no, this isn't for me.
Mm.
There's some people that will get through that part, but then when trying to teach them how to, you know, perform moves safely, that it's just for some reason it's not clicking.
Mm.
And it gets to a point sometimes where we've actually had to ask somebody to kind of step out because of the fact that nobody wanted to work with them, because every time they worked with them, they ended up getting hurt in some way, shape, or form.
Mhm.
I mean, it's nobody wants to be the person to tell somebody that, hey, you know, I know this is your dream, but you don't get to do it. Nobody wants to be that person. But at the end of the day, if you're trying to leave it better than you found it, so to speak,
Mm.
you want to make sure that it's left in capable hands. If it's not left in capable hands, then it's just going to go to chaos.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So you got to make sure that the next generation of people that you are breaking in can be able to handle the workload, being able to bring the next generation, next generation, next generation, because the business is going to go on, keep going on so long as, there's, calling for it basically.
Yep. As long as there's people that want to see it,
Mhm.
this business will be around.
Now, I actually have a question for you. How has the culture as far as locker rooms changed since you broke in compared to where we are now? Because you've been in the industry obviously for a while.
From when I broke in, it was very, if you were not on the show, you do not come in the locker room.
Hmm.
Since that time, there's runners, there's significant others, there's uh, people from the door helping out. You know, there's everybody
Mm.
that kind of they know when and where they can go, but sometimes they still just kind of hang out and do whatever they feel like. And sometimes it gets addressed.
Hmm.
Other times, um, it just kind of some people will look the other way. I mean, it all just kind of depends on the company and their expectations, their standards, so on and so
The
forth.
culture of that company, basically.
More or less, yeah. But that's the thing. Like, I wouldn't even necessarily call it a culture as much as it's like sometimes you get those people who just they want their friends around.
Right.
You know, they see these people, oh, they're showing up because they want to hang out with me.
Hmm.
Maybe, or maybe they're just looking for a booking.
You never know. So, but especially going to the some of the training on there, it's like with the Bulletproof Academy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what would you say are the most overlooked fundamentals that some wrestling schools are overlooking nowadays that you've seen, and what are some things that you actually have kind of picked up from other wrestling schools per se that you actually like? Oh, I like that. I'm going to implement that.
Um, Gosh, what is the minute you said like things that you picked up from other wrestling schools? I forget the name, but it's out in SoCal. Um, some of their little warm up drills.
Mm.
Like they'll do you run to the corner, up and over, back roll,
Hmm.
run to the corner, hop up to the middle, jump off, tiger roll type thing. And like
Was it Santino Brothers by chance?
Santino Brothers,
Yep.
there we go. There we go. Yep, exactly.
Yep.
Santino Brothers is definitely a cool one that like I've looked at some of their warm ups and I'm like, you know what? I think our students are capable enough to where they can pull this off.
Right.
Obviously, not everybody's going to be able to do everything.
Like
There's
me.
certain. I'm sure if you tried hard enough, you could. You could pull it off.
Well, I probably have to lose like another 70 pounds to get down to the weight that I was when I was first. Well, actually, that's closer to 100 pounds now from when I first broke in.
Well, that's what happens. You get happy, you get healthy.
You,
um,
you tried creatine for the first time.
um, but yeah, so that would be one thing where I say that I think that like you can definitely learn from other schools. One thing I've noticed that is kind of lacking in some of the other schools I've like
Mm.
seen people come from are strikes.
Mm.
Like everybody does, yeah, everybody does forearms and everything,
Hmm.
but just like punching, just a good solid punch is kind of hard to come by these days. Like, and a
Yeah.
lot of schools don't really teach striking.
Yeah. Because that was one thing when I was breaking in. It's like you gotta make your strikes look good. You gotta connect with them, but you can't be going knocking people's teeth out with them either. And more oftentimes than not, when I was trying to find that fine line, find that fine balance, it's just so hard to be able to get there unless you have like the neural pathways and the feel for it down. Because especially for some people, because I understand being in some students' shoes and being in a teacher's shoes as well, it's like, well, this comes easy to me, but at the same time, nothing came easy to me. And it's like, you can kind of be, it's like, okay, I've been in this guy's shoes before. What can I do to kind of go ahead and get through to this kid? Or it's like, but there's also that part who's like, oh, yeah, I've been doing this for 10 years. It's coming easy to me. So,
And then that's the biggest thing that we definitely always preach, is that it might not be easy right now, but repetition, repetition, repetition.
yes.
That is what's going to help improve your skills and ability. So, like everybody, like walking in day one, it's like we're critiquing their roles, the way that they're doing this, that, and the other, and they're sitting there like, I guarantee beating themselves up because I used to beat myself up
Yep.
every time, and I'm like, hey, you know what? Um, and actually, this last class, we're only 3 days in, and we already had two people for different personal reasons that had to step down.
Right.
And I told them, I'm like, here's the thing. There's millions of people out there that sit there and say, oh, I want to be a pro wrestler so bad. Oh, I want to be a pro wrestler so bad. Okay, cool. You have to go through training.
Yep.
It costs X amount of dollars. No pun intended, but crickets. And these kids that are still there, I tell them, I'm like, you know what? Be proud, because there's all these people that say that this is their dream and this is what they want to do and they'll do anything to do it. Yet you guys are actually doing it and you are still here.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, while yeah, you got to be hard on them because obviously they're not only putting their own lives at risk, but they're putting your life,
Yeah.
my life, your life in risk if you get in the ring with them and they're unsure, unaware, or unknowing of their abilities. So they definitely got to be safe, but at the same time, like you can't just beat them down.
Mm-hmm. It's one of those deals where it's like you got to be able to get through to them and show them it's like, hey, this is a serious business. They got to, treat it with respect. They have to treat it with reverence. And they also need to treat their peers with respect too, because, if you don't go and, take care of that guy that's, working with you, you're not going to be able to probably get booked and get money for being able to put food on your table. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. So it's like we need each other and we need each other to be safe and protected when we do this. Otherwise, not only that, reputation get built up for being dangerous or reckless in the ring. Nobody will want to book you. So, and it's a really hard, dig yourself out of.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So, as far as train goes, like everybody goes ahead and goes over the rolls, bumps, hitting ropes, and all that. It's like everybody kind of has their own little style on there. But what point do you introduce like into the training after they do that psychology, how to work, how to put a match together?
So, we try to keep the intensive basic classes about 12 weeks long.
Mm-hmm.
So about 3 months, 3 nights a week. From there, we're teaching as fast as they're catching on.
Mm-hmm.
Like obviously, we're not sitting here rushing everybody through, saying, "Okay, yep, good, you're done."
Yep.
But we're getting them through. We're making sure that they understand the components, understand, and I'd say probably the last month, month and a half, depending A on the size of the class, B on the more or less the wherewithal
Mm-hmm.
of the individuals involved, will take kind of putting together a little 6 to 8 minute match,
Mm-hmm.
teaching that psychology, teaching the whole storytelling of the beginning, middle, end,
Mm-hmm.
the roller coaster ride, whatever analogy you want to use for it.
Right.
Um,
The 7-step match, basically.
more or less, yeah.
Yeah.
And then so from there, it's just kind of from there. That's when we really kind of like get on them and nitpick all the details. It's like, no, you just did a lazy lockup.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to believe that. You
Yeah.
do that in a match.
You gotta bring that intensity and make them suspend their disbelief.
Absolutely. And if you don't do that, I lost interest. I'm going to go from that to, okay,
Yep.
yep, I'm on my phone now.
Yep.
So,
I mean, and especially with those distractions nowadays, it is harder to keep the people, and plus they know it's work. It's harder to get them to suspend their disbelief probably more than ever, unless like you go to a show and they outlaw the rules, like, oh, please turn off your cell phones, please.
Yeah, and like there's still people that will suspend disbelief to the point to where they feel like it's reality.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just did that storyline with Joey Anderson,
Mm-hmm.
and he was telling me how he got all these people shooting him messages saying, "Man, that was messed up what Donnie did to you.
Yep.
You know, pouring alcohol down your throat, blah 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 blah." We got him.
Yep.
Mhm.
I've been in your shoes with certain angles around here. I'm not going to go into that, but Sarah knows what I'm talking about. But but anyway, so I want to go ahead and wrap this up on like the train side of it for what are some matches that you personally recommend that are maybe on YouTube or other social media platforms that you would go and recommend watching to learn how to, be a better worker that is like, especially more or less for like a, somebody who's green in the business, kind of get the feel of it. It's like, okay, this is what I believe that, wrestling should be like as a trainer to be able to learn from.
I mean, there's a million different directions I can go with that.
Mm,
If you're looking for selling, Ricky Morton.
mm,
If you're looking for character, Dusty Rhodes. If you're looking for like good heel, Ric Flair.
mm,
If you're looking for more the high flying aspect, Rey Mysterio.
mm,
If you're looking for a mix of some of these things, Owen
mm.
Hart. I mean, I know he's kind of a dirty word, but Chris Benoit was still a hell of a wrestler.
Agreed.
Everything outside of wrestling, obviously, kind of,
Mhm.
yeah, that's what made him, not have the legacy that he should. Um, and obviously, don't get me wrong, I don't condone what he did. I'm just,
Nothing, Stu.
I'm just giving him the credit where he deserved it was in the wrestling ring.
And we've covered this subject in the past too, and that's pretty much the exact feeling that I have towards it. Like he is one of the best that we ever had, and you can learn from him. I understand if it's hard to watch his matches after what happened, but the way I see it is like, hey, there's nothing we can do to change it. But hey, his work of body work still stands up to this day.
And at the very least, it's a cautionary tale of what too much head trauma can also cause.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. Well, I was gonna say, I actually brought something here because you and I have worked off and on for in multiple promotions for the better part about 10 years in some form or fashion with each other. Well, there's one match that we were talking a little bit over the air a couple shows on, and I was wondering if this right here jogged any memory.
a few.
All right, so are they good memories or is it more like PTSD?
No, it was a good memory.
Yeah, good memory. So do you want to go ahead and go into some detail on your side of everything? Because I've kind of told a little bit of my side, but I always wanted to kind of go back and like rehash on some of your memories on this one because this was definitely a memorable match for me. It was kind of my first like big main event match that I've ever like been a part of, major feud that I've been a part of. So floor is yours.
Honestly, I would say, first off, I feel I feel bad because we didn't get to perform in front of a much larger audience.
Yes.
Um, but nevertheless, just everything leading up to it, all the little back and forth shenanigans
Mm,
leading up to it, the match itself with all the ups and downs and the
yes.
whole like quote unquote costume change for me before we actually got the match underway.
Yeah.
It was fun. Like it's just, you going out there and it's one of those where it's you're better off asking for forgiveness than permission.
Yes.
Mhm.
Well, I was gonna say one thing that I think we might have left out on that, but didn't you have like a double or triple shot that weekend? You were coming from another state before the Sunday show.
Yeah, I think so. I think Friday we were here. I think Friday, yeah, because we were here in Omaha, somewhere in Iowa, like all the way on the other side of Iowa.
Mhm.
And then, or no, wait, was that when we came back from Texas?
It might have been.
Oh, well
Uh,
then,
yeah.
so then that was okay. So Friday night we were in Texas. Saturday we were in South Dakota.
Hmm.
Sunday we were in trainer.
Yep.
Jesus. God, what were we thinking?
Yeah, well, there's a reason when I was getting broken, certain guys would call you the Road Warrior, and it's like, yeah, you definitely proved it that evening, and I guess I was the cherry on the icing on the cake on there, kind of all three mixed together. But there's a lot of things. I don't know if I even told you about this match until maybe now and all that, but I actually after right before that match when we were going to book it originally in February, I actually tore my rotator cuff off the bone, and I gained a lot of weight, and I was trying to rehab that shoulder injury, and I don't know if you remember this because of how hard you got hit on there, but the one that we always bring up, because the match is on YouTube and it's under the LWE account, under a free match, but you decided that you wanted to go ahead and full Nelson me and go ahead and pass me around like a village bicycle, exposing my chest to the fans.
No, I forgot. I forgot about that. I thought I did do. I know. Remember, we did the whole chop
Yep.
spot, but I didn't think I put you in a full Nelson. I feel bad now. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was either a full Nelson or a double chicken wing. I have to go back and watch the match. And then you go ahead and bring me over to a super fan that is usually very friendly with the bad guys, and you're expecting one result, and you end up getting another one.
Well, I mean, you never know until you try.
Exactly. Rehashing. There's a wrestling fan around the area. He's a super fan. His name's Deaf Daniel. Of course, he was born deaf, and he is a huge fan of the heels. He has me locked up, and he's pulling me over. It's like he's thinking it's like, okay, he's gonna chop Dalton on here, and we'll probably go to the next spot, whatever. Well, Daniel decides that he wants to turn heel and drills Donnie.
Yeah, that's not the first time that's happened either.
Well, do you remember what you said the second that happened?
No, I don't.
Ow, you stiff mother effer. I know you can't hear that, but still.
That sounds about right.
And then, of course, like a dummy, I have to go and call for you to reverse me and suplex me on the floor and throw my back out the whole match. And it's like, because, dude, when I went to that heat spot and I was lying there, that was a shoot.
Well,
Because my leg went numb after not landing that. But you took care of me, but that was on me. And of course, if you ever lay on industrial grade carpeting, it's actually harder than concrete, if you ask me. But yeah, I was like, okay, I forgot everything that we were going to do during the heat. And I just like, okay, can I feel my legs? Can I feel my legs? And I said to myself, I'm not going to put this guy in a working hold. I'm going to go ahead and just, chop meat, use the gimmick, whatever. Second thing I do, because I blank out.
hey, it worked.
It did. And of course, we were going to go in another spot. And unfortunately, I think I broke your nose.
No, possibly. I don't remember.
Yeah, I must hit you that hard then.
Dude, like, there's a lot of, like, the more I think about it, the more I've forgotten about this business. Not to mention that, like, I still remember there was a couple shows ago, I was hanging out at a PWP show, and somebody brought me a DVD, and I'm sitting there looking at the card, and I wrestled Arya Davari.
Yeah.
I don't remember wrestling Arya.
Yeah, and it's like, especially because you work with so many people so often because you put so much time in, is like every day just kind of seems like it's just another booking.
I mean,
Yeah.
kind of, yeah.
Yeah. But I was going to say, man, it's like that match, especially with the circumstances that we were going through, like me, getting a little messed up on there, Deaf Daniel, all that. People still come up to me at shows and still remember that match and still watch it on YouTube. I mean, it's like, I
Yeah.
really feel that we, accomplished something special, especially because, I think it was a week before or 2 weeks before you actually had another dog collar match.
Yeah, it was, because then me and Darlene had one.
Yep. Yeah, and I heard that Darling was really mad until we had to book the match at a later date. It's like, oh, he's beating me to the punch on this. We love you, Adam. But
Alrighty.
but I was gonna say, I was about to say, yeah, it's time for a little word association here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna go ahead and bring out a name, and it's gonna be mostly local talent here around the area, past, present, and maybe even future. I don't know, but. You just go ahead and give me like a one sentence response or one word that comes to mind, and you feel good with this?
Yeah, sure.
All right. First name comes to mind is Jay Fowler.
Jay Fowler.
Mhm.
Don't know why he's not already signed.
Mhm. Good point. The Crucible, Nash and McGregor.
Kids.
Kids. Kids. J.J. Garrett.
Forgetful.
Any stories?
Well, he's just. I don't want to put him on blast, but like there's been a couple of times where he's like, I forgot I was booked here, and like it just kind of like it's one of those things. It doesn't happen often, but there was enough times to where it'd be like, bro, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, I love JJ.
too. Yeah, he's good people. Malachi Matthews.
Hog.
Hog.
That one's a little. That was a little triple X. I can't talk about that one. That's about all I can say.
I think I know what you're talking about. Leave it at that. JC Slater.
Good kid.
Agreed. You worked with him this last weekend. I worked with him a couple weekends before. He's a blast to work with, isn't
Oh
he?
yeah, super
right.
easy.
Yep. Chris Heavius.
Chris Avius, lousy boss.
Ooh, rib shot right there.
No, that's just digging back into our CD trade post days.
That explains a lot.
But no, he was a good boss. He was a good boss, and he still is a good boss whenever he has me.
Gotcha. Ryan Romantic.
Double stuffed Oreos?
I thought that was never mind. Well, I was gonna say so sweet on the inside.
No, Ryan's a good guy. We've had numerous talks about what he needs to work on, but he's a good guy.
Yeah.
And he loves entertaining, and he does.
Hype Gotti.
Legend.
Tony Cortez.
See, I would have to go with legendary.
Good point. How I Met Your Mother. I think I got like maybe 5 or 6 more I want to go through. Zach James.
Zach James? From a punk kid to a mild-mannered adult.
Sounds like a lot of us. Moonshine Russell.
Came a long way from Thunder Russell.
Yep, I was gonna say, man. Red Wing.
Red Wing? Freak of nature.
Agreed. Especially you do powerlifting on side from wrestling. Yep, agreed. I'll give you 2 more names here. Nino Hatchet.
Nino Hatchet? Good brother.
Good brother. And last name, you gotta be honest with this one, Salty Dalty.
Salty Dalty? A little off kilter, but overall, decent human being.
I appreciate that. Well, especially coming from wrestling dad, so.
Alrighty, it's time to go home.
Oh, but we wanted, actually, that's already been done last weekend. We want 5 more minutes. I just had to.
Thank you, Branden, for coming on here.
Not a problem. Thank you for having me.
And tell us a little bit about the Bulletproof Academy and where you can find it.
Yep, not a problem. So if you go on to Facebook and or Instagram, Bulletproof Academy, we have a page there. We're getting a little bit better at posting more and more often with social media stuff. So just make sure you keep an eye out there. If you're interested in training, please reach out. We did just start a class recently this week, so we probably aren't going to be taking too many, if any, new students as of right now. Since we're already a weekend, but you never know. We'll see what happens. Yeah.
Alrighty.
And before we go ahead and go, one name that I wanted to go ahead and leave the floor absolutely to, Jason Strife.
My brother.
Alrighty.
Yep.
You can find these wrestlers on various matches on YouTube if you want to look them up. And that's going to be all for today.
Yep. Shoot the half.
Shoot the half, take care, and stay classy.